Qualified, professional, and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
The eye is one of the most important organs of the body. Why? Because the eye helps you to see. Did you know that diseases such as diabetes can cause permanent loss of vision, can cause blindness? And this is why today on the Doctalk show, we discuss eye diseases caused by diabetes. And with me in the studio are our eye surgeons from Mengo Hospital. We have Dr. Tambla May and Dr. Bwanya Daniel to help us understand more about diabetic eye disease. You're most welcome to the show, doctors.
Thank you.
And I am your host for the evening, Dr. Darius Sowachi. So let us dive into business in understanding more about diabetic eye disease. So maybe you could start with helping viewers understand more about the eye and how this diabetes can cause the destruction of the eye.
The eye is a sense organ. It is one of the important eye organ that makes us see. It is through seeing that we learn most of the things. The eye is made in such a way that it allows light to go through a natural glass, which is in the front, into the eye, and then to the back of the eye, where there is a tissue called retina. The retina is the one which picks the light information from an object outside and converts it into an electric impulse and sends it to the brain so that we can interpret. And the brain will be the one keeping the information so that when you have seen me today and I have told you you have seen Dr. Dan, the following day when you see me, the brain will interpret that you have seen Dr. Dan.
Okay. So, Dr. May,
Yes.
in special focus to diabetes, how does the diabetes now cause the eye disease?
Diabetes itself as a disease, it affects the eye in various ways. At the initial stages, the person may get what we call loss of focus. And usually this comes when a person has very high sugars at that moment. Then they can get double vision. And at the lens, they can get cataracts. And at the back of the eye, which we are talking about, that person can get bleeding in that area, and that affects their vision. So in summary, all these diseases caused by diabetes to the eye, they will cause reduction in the vision.
Dr. Dan, why is diabetes so important in eye disease? What is the big deal about diabetes?
Diabetes is very important in this scenario that most of the things we do, we do them as we see. So diabetes affects our sight. So it is one that can lead you to blindness. So it is very important that we talk about it because it is affecting young or working group people.
Many young people in their productive lives.
Their productive lives.
It isn't that the diabetes starts much later in life in the elderly. It can start as early as 20 or 30, and they're already getting eye disease.
Yes.
So it means for the rest of their lives they have the likelihood of becoming permanently blind. So just how many people do you think are affected by diabetes?
Diabetes, by around 2015, it was estimated that about 415 million people worldwide are known to be having diabetes. But this is just an estimation. Actually, it is found out that about half of the people in the world do not know that they have diabetes.
So with regards to the eye disease, just how many people do you think, Dr. May, how many people get this eye disease due to diabetes?
Most of the people who are diabetic, usually have eye diseases at various stages. Some of them may not know that they have the diabetic eye disease, but they usually have.
Most of them already have eye
They
disease.
have,
By the
because
time they get to know,
by the
they
time
have
they
diabetes.
get to know, yeah, because they have been walking around with a disease without knowing. So these prolonged high sugars in the body, which is the diabetes, they eventually affect the eye. So we know that there are so many people.
So does it mean if someone has diabetes, it's almost guaranteed they're going to get eye disease?
In a sense, we could say yes, because there are many risk factors, and one of the risk factors is that the longer you stay with diabetes, the higher the chances of getting the diabetic eye disease, and also the fact that the sugars are not well controlled. That person,
All those now increase the
yes,
risk
they
of getting
increase the risk of getting diabetes.
Okay, so it's really a sad fact that many people don't know that they have diabetes.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Dan, this diabetes and the retina, how exactly does it come about?
Yeah.
How does it destroy that special film within the eye that helps to interpret these images?
One is that you need to be having sugars for some time, high sugars in your body for some time. So diabetes, for a long time, when your blood has high blood sugars, it leads to the damage of small blood vessels. The blood vessels mainly, which are supplying blood on the retina or the back of the eye. So when these blood vessels are continuously damaged, they become weaker and weaker and thin. So when they become thin, they reach a moment where they start oozing or blood leaking from the walls of the retina.
Or sometimes they can even burst because
Yes, sometimes they
the
can
walls
burst,
are very thin.
very thin. And sometimes they can totally block.
Okay.
So when these two things happen, the retina tissue is damaged because there will be extravasation of fluid accumulating within and then also blood accumulating within. So all this process makes the retina tissue get damaged. And you know very well that it is a camera, it is a film. The moment it gets damaged, the picture doesn't come out clearly. So that is how blindness comes about.
So let's keep in mind the retina is a very sensitive film.
Yes.
But it's a living tissue,
Yes.
because people might think it's an actual film.
Yes.
But it's a living tissue, and it depends on blood vessels to feed it, to nourish it.
Yes.
So when the diabetes destroys these blood vessels, it makes them very thin. That means they can easily break,
Yes.
they can easily bleed, or fluids can leak out of blood vessels into the retina. So that damage is what now causes the
The diabetes.
disease of the retina.
Yes.
Okay, so after the break, we shall come back to understand who might be at risk of getting this diabetic retinopathy and what can be done to either prevent it or to treat it. So you can send in your questions and feedback or queries onto our social media platforms, that is on Facebook or on Twitter. You can also log onto our YouTube page and subscribe the Doctalk show and continue watching some of these videos right there. Remember, this show is sponsored by the Ministry of Health. Don't go away.
You are watching the Doctalk Show.